You've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. You can have a clean fight. Let's get back to my living room.
The champs of USA for the champion, Chris Weidman. The challenger, the greatest of all time, Anderson, the Spider Silva. Ready. Good. Tonight's clock brought to you by Bud Light. Here we go. Again. Silva. In his familiar yellow trunks, blue trunks for Weidman. Anderson's hands are up.
The question is, how long is Chris going to stand with him before he decides to try to take him down?
Absolutely.
Chris throws a front kick to the body.
Speaking of kicks, that's what we're going to look for from Anderson.
There's a single stuck it. He's got him down.
Silva looking to get right back up.
This is what Chris wanted. Wanted to get a hold of him quick, and Anderson's right back up to his feet. Nice knee by Anderson.
Anderson can be very dangerous from this position with Chris's head low.
And he's dangerous from every position, especially when he's fresh, early in the fight. He pushed away. He's got to look out for those knees. That's where Anderson excels.
The Rich Franklin fights.
And he's so good in that Muay Thai clinch as well. He hurt him. He hurt him already. Anderson's looking to hurt him as he's trouble.
Looking to finish the fight. Chris Weidman all over Silva. Can he do it again? Or can Anderson survive?
He survived, but he got rocked.
Wow. Chris was smart not to punch himself out there.
Well, he realized that Anderson had him in his guard. He wasn't able to really generate power. He's looking for an Ezekiel choke.
Can he get a choke?
No, not yet. I mean, not from where he's at. But the fact is, he's stopping the breathing of Anderson. He's got to look out for Anderson's guard, though. Anderson has a very good offensive guard, an underrated guard.
Looks to throw the elbow.
Anderson's looking for an arm triangle from the bottom. Very difficult to get. In fact, Jeremy Horn is the only guy that I've ever seen get it. He got it on Chuck Liddell and put him to sleep with it in Chuck's first loss in the octagon.
Anderson trying to weather this early storm.
Anderson lands a short punch from the bottom.
But he takes one from Weidman.
Well, Weidman has got to get out of the guard. Because in the guard, he's using the can opener. And what he's trying to do is get Anderson to open up his guard by putting incredible pressure on the neck.
Come on, if he's going to tell, he'll
the
fucking
only way to
explode.
relieve that pressure is for Anderson to release his guard and scoot his hips back.
Long-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under the Rivera brothers, Anderson Silva.
Submitting Anderson with the can opener, that would be fucking...
Weidman, elbow, it's a good elbow.
No words for it.
It's very difficult to land hard. There's a solid shot. That one hurt him.
And this is what you said earlier, Joe, that Chris was going to look to do. Take him down and beat him up.
Take him down, beat him up, hurt him. Anderson now goes with a body triangle. It makes it very hard for Chris to breathe and even harder for him to generate power in his shots. It's more of a defensive technique, though. As long as Anderson has that body triangle on, he's not going to be offensive from the bottom as far as submissions go. Big shot by Weidman. Weidman hurt him.
From the body, Silva.
Good elbow from the bottom by Anderson.
90 seconds on the clock here in round one.
You know, we've seen this in several Anderson fights, especially the Chael Sonnen fight, the second one, where he gets taken down fairly easily in the first round, but in the second round, his opponent can't take him down.
In the first fight, Chris Weidman took him down.
Again, he's using that can opener, and then he lands a short punch. And he hurt him again. Ooh, good shots from the bottom.
Nice.
Good hammer fist from the bottom.
Joe, as you mentioned, Anderson
Never thought that I would be more nervous for Anderson standing up than on the ground. Worried about his chin a little bit. Either his chin has diminished or Chris has some power.
Someone's cut. I see blood. It may be from Weidman.
For sure.
It's tough to tell. Yeah, it's tough to tell.
30. Was a Silva elbow.
Anderson knocked him out from the bottom, I would explode.
20 seconds.
Now Weidman's going to stack him.
50.
Yeah, it's Weidman's blood. It's coming from his nose.
Big shot at the end of the round.
That was a big shot.
Watch out.
Doesn't know where he is.
Yeah, you see that punch that connected? That hurt him. No doubt about it. Look, you see his eyes close and his body gives out. And there's always a question when a guy gets knocked unconscious the way he did in his last fight. It takes a long time to recover from something like that.
The beat.
That's the monster waiting in the wings for whoever wins this fight.
We're good as he been
That's a scary face.
Yes, it is. Started calling his fights when he was 19 years old.
Now it's your turn. Yes, you take the back in the three
He wrote his own.
Take it to the clinch.
Among Stones in the corner of the former longtime champion. 6 years, 8 months, and 22 days. Anderson Silva was the middleweight champ.
Look, Anderson Silva got hurt bad in that round, Mike, and we can see it in the replay.
Chris Weidman has been the champ since July 6th. Round 2. And Weidman hurt him when they were clinching, which is something we've seen
Come on, bro.
utilized so
Come on.
dynamically by the Spider. Good kick.
There's a first. Inside leg kick by Anderson. Very fast.
Anderson's hands are up still. And one of the most dynamic knockouts in UFC history was Silva on Vitor Belfort.
You know, one of the things that I'm impressed with about Weidman, and I was impressed with in the first fight as well, was that he knows when not to come in.
Right.
He knows distance very well. He might not be as fast as Anderson, but he's very good at gauging when Anderson's going to move forward and he gets out of the way. And he makes Anderson think because of that. Whereas other guys have stood flat-footed in front of him and allowed Anderson to get his timing down and launch shots. That was a good shot to the body.
Oh, nice.
He checked it.
He hurt his leg, and it is all over. Anderson hurt his leg when the kick was checked, and Weidman remains the champion.
He broke his leg. Anderson fractured his leg. You can see his leg hanging loose now. Wow. He broke his leg. Unbelievable. What a crazy ending. It went limp. It snapped right in half.
Holy shit.
Much like Corey Hill years ago, Joe.
Very much like, what a shocking end. He snapped his leg. Wow. It went completely limp. You can see it dangle.
Unbelievable.
Let's take a look at it again. We'll see if we can see it snap.
Fight replay brought to you by Bud Light. Here we go.
Watch this. He checks it. Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
fuck.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's about as obvious as it gets.
Holy
And as I told
shit.
you, John Danaher, oh my God.
Goodness.
John Danaher had said after the first fight that that was what concerned him about his performance, was that he wasn't checking leg kicks. Well, he checked that one.
Holy
What a
fuck.
shocking turn of events.
Wow. And Joe, in the end, we have an odd ending again to Chris Weidman defeating Anderson Silva.
Not
And Chris
just
is a good
an
guy.
ending, Mike, but that might be
Not-
the ending of Anderson
I was
Silva's
thinking
career.
the
That
same
is
thing.
an
Yep, I was
incredibly
thinking the same
difficult
thing.
injury to come back from.
I'm not so
That's a serious fracture of the leg. I mean, it's going to be difficult for him to walk again.
I'm
for
not
a
so
long
devastated
time.
because Chris is a great guy,
Snapping your leg
but
in half like that, it's a very serious injury, and this might be the end of a great mixed martial arts
it's
career.
crazy.
At the very least, a long time recovering. We remember how long it took Frank Mir to come back from his motorcycle injury when he snapped his leg. And Frank came back, was never himself again for years. years. It took at least a year and a half, 2 years after his return
Matt
to start to see the real Frank Mir.
380 pounds.
And Corey Hill, who's not a great champion like Anderson Silva, but yet a mixed martial artist, he came back. It took a couple years, but he didn't last very long. He's so tough, especially mentally, to throw a kick again.
Unbelievable. What an unexpected turn of events.
Wow.
I mean, that's only the second time we've ever seen that inside the octagon, Mike, and to see it from Anderson Silva. And very fascinating to see it when we were talking about that very thing being a problem in the first fight. The Danaher recognized that. Well, I'll tell you what, Chris Weidman seriously worked on his leg checking because he nailed it perfectly.
He has done it again. Chris Weidman defeats Anderson Silva with the official decision. Here is Bruce Butler.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 16 seconds.
It's gotta be
Round
destiny.
number 2.
It's gotta be.
Due to injury, the winner by TKO and still the undisputed.
The worst outcome of the fight, of this fight that I, you know, hope for. Joe Rogan. With his crazy face. It's fuck.
The winner is still champion Chris Weidman. Chris, after your first victory with Anderson Silva, I talked to John Danaher inside the octagon. The first thing he said to me after I said congratulations was he didn't like how you were getting hit with those leg kicks. Obviously, you worked very hard on checking those, but did you ever expect that this could happen?
You know, I'll be honest with you. First of all, I just want to say, no matter what happened in this fight before, what the result just was now, or after, he's still known as the greatest of all time. Lots of props to Anderson Silva. I wish him the best, and God bless him. What was the question?
The question was, how hard did you work on your leg kick checking, and did you ever expect that this could possibly happen?
You know, long ago, obviously, that was the number one thing that I got hit with in the first fight. So I did work a lot against guys with good kicks, and was working on checking them a lot. And I did actually think that if he's going to go that hard on kicks like he usually does, if I catch it on my knee, it could really hurt him. But it's still crazy how that happened.
Unbelievable. It's the only second time we've ever seen this inside the octagon. Now, you hurt him bad in the first round. Let's take a look at that. You were inside the clinch, and you caught him with a nasty right hand and dropped him. His eyes rolled back in his head. His body went limp. What were you thinking at that moment?
There was a point where I was just like thinking, ref, stop the fight. But that's what I was thinking.
You were hoping he would stop the fight?
Yeah, I was hoping he'd stop the fight. I was hitting him a lot. His eyes were still kind of in the back of his head for a lot of those punches, but he recovered well. I just want to give thanks to Jesus Christ. Without him, I wouldn't be here. He gave me the strength to work as hard as I did to get to this spot. So thanks to my team. If you're in Long Island, Matt, Sarah, BJJ, Huntington, and Levittown, and then me and Longo just opened a new gym, Power MMA. Come by.
Now, Chris, this is obviously an incredible turn of events. The first fight was incredible. You became the champion. Has it sunk in now? Do you feel, after that incredible fight, and now this fight, do you feel that you will now get the respect that maybe you deserved from the first fight, but didn't get because a lot of people thought it was a fluke?
Who knows? Probably not. Because, you know, I'm so new in this sport. I'm 11-0 now. People can't fathom the fact that I'm coming here and beating guys. So I understand where people are coming from, but slowly but surely people start believing in me.
Listen, Chris, outstanding performance. Congratulations on retaining your title. Can't wait to see you perform again. Chris Weidman, ladies and gentlemen.
Chris Weidman, the winner of a brand new 2014 Harley-Davidson Street Glide Special Motorcycle. And as I said before, what an experience to ride one. You know, it's interesting, too, because the way this fight ended, it's obviously a horrible injury, but we saw it with Louisville in the NCAA tournament. We saw it with Joe Theismann years ago. So it's hard to watch. We feel for Anderson Silva, but it's a contact sport. And unfortunately tonight, Anderson Silva broke his leg throwing a kick at Chris Weidman. Tonight's Chris Weidman Anderson Silva UFC middleweight title fight has been brought to you by Muscle Farm, fueling athletes safely.
Wow. You know, what's really incredible, Mike, is that there was questions from the first fight
that haven't been answered.
People will have questions now coming into the second fight, but the bottom line about what we saw tonight, despite the injury, was that Chris Weidman was dominating Anderson Silva. Anderson had landed a couple of good shots.
Dominating from the ground. Anderson fucking dominated him, I would reckon.
Then the check kick. I mean, just
he busted his face from the bottom. How was that domination from Weidman? Joe.
Chris went through so much before the first fight with the hurricane and having to live with his parents and a shoulder injury. This time everything was perfect. And it worked out well again as he remains the UFC middleweight champion, the All-American, Chris Weidman.
Okay, so that's that.
All right, time to check out
A bit devastated because of Anderson, but Chris is a great guy and, you know, I wish him the best. So, see ya.